All right, everybody. Welcome back to Flat Tires and Baling Wires. It's your host, Baling Wire. So in the last video, you've seen where we drug this thing out of the timber. And now, if you guys watch long, and I hope you do, you're going to see me tear down this fuel tank. Now, I did a walk around in the last video. And I'm going to do another walk around for you guys in this video. So, if you guys can continue watching, please like, share, and subscribe. And you're going to see me tear down this whole fuel body off of this. I think we decided it's like a 51 or 52 International KB5 with a fuel tank on it. I don't remember the name of the company, but I do remember it was made in Joliet, Illinois. But we're going to take apart this fuel tank, and as you guys know, and for those of you that don't, that are first watching, I'm putting this fuel tank on a rat rod, my 46 Chevy pickup back there, and but it's a rat rod, and so that's what we're doing. And I'm going to do a quick walk around on it again, so you guys can check out this fuel tank before I start to tear it down. Okay. I know in my last video I did a walk around, but anybody watching this video where I'm going to start tearing this thing down, I'm going to do another walk around. So like I said, this is, I think a 51 or 52 KB, maybe even a 49, 4950. I think it was like from 49 to 53 these were made. I don't know. I'm going to find out some more information about it, make sure what year it is. But this is a International KB5. And man, it's been pretty picked over and rough. So on the door, it says C.W. Hall. You can barely see it, out of Union Star, Missouri. And this is the fuel tank, and it is a 5-piece fuel tank. As you can see right there, there's a step to get up on top. And you know what? I didn't do that in the last video. Hang on, let me see if I can do this without falling down and filming and all at the same time. Let's get up here. Oh! Okay. Now, back in the day, this is where they got up to fuel these tanks. See the caps? Now, back in the day, you know, they didn't deliver much fuel. I'll tell you more about how many gallons are in these tanks as we get back there. But this is where they would have put this, pulled this right here, and this cap would have came up. And this is where they would have fueled these tanks, right up here on top. Okay, let me see if I can get down without falling. Okay, but right here is where they would have hauled drums. They would have hauled drums right here. That's where how they would hold a drum. Here's some of the pump mechanism inside there. What you guys can see inside of there. I did get these open. Well, they actually open pretty decent. So let me see if I can get you. Let me get around this milling machine here. There you go. That's a pretty good side view right there. That's a side view of the tank. Now I did figure out that basically all this will come apart. That's what I'm going to start doing in this video, is take all this down so that we can start building a rat rod out of this baby. And there's where all the magic happens to this. This is something really cool on this door. I think up here, this markings, I think this was put on here when it was built. But this tells you about the tanks. Tank number 1 is a 200-gallon tank. Tank number 2 is 100-gallon. Tank number 3 is 100-gallon. Tank number 4 is 100-gallon. Tank number 5 is 100-gallon. I mean, could you imagine that? This has 5 tanks on it. And then this says this was done in 8/19 of 53. Okay, and then this 44332. I don't know. I'm guessing that is something to do with the weights and measures. That's where maybe they certified it. And I think this says outage right here. 4 and 7/16, 5 and 5/8, 5 and 3/8, 5 and 1/16, 4 3/16. And then it says GWE 61355. And if anybody knows anything more about that, let me know. I'm just kind of guessing that's what that is, and I'm guessing this is the initials of whoever maybe inspected it, would be my guess. I don't know. And then, like you said, there's I think that was done in the factory, in which it says the same thing. That tank number 1 is 200, and then on down 100, 100, 100. Then in the last video, I didn't remember the manufacturer. Let's see, manufactured by Farrell Manufacturing, and it is number 1946. Oh, you know what? Maybe this is a little older truck than I thought. Maybe it was manufactured in 1946 and it was number 27. Because this says 1946 right here. Farrell Manufacturing Company. And that says, is that an 87 or is that's 27, 27. 27, Joliet, Illinois. Pretty cool. And then up here, I think this dial had something to do with the measuring mechanism to know when to trip. They could set how many gallons that somebody was going to get, and that would trip it. That's just my guess. And then down here is where all the fuel will disperse. As you can see, it's got all these pipes, and I looked underneath there, and I'll show you guys a little later when I start tearing this down. But I got underneath of there, and each one of those pipes goes to one of the tanks. And then let me show you the tanks on the side. Okay, so this is space in there where we were just looking. Okay, now, when we pulled this thing out, the guy that was with me, he says, well, how do you know how many tanks is on that? And I says, all you got to do is look at the bands. Okay, so there's a band right there. So there's one tank. There's a band. There's another tank. That's 2 tanks. There's another band. There's another tank. That's 3 tanks. There's a band. There's another tank. That's 4 tanks. There's a band. And then number 5. There's the 5th tank right there. And then right here is another one of those places where you can put a barrel. And over here is another spot. When I climbed up earlier, I climbed up on that foothold right there. And then here's another side box right here. And there's some more of the pumping mechanism, which I'm going to take all that stuff out. And in this video, you're going to see me tear this thing down. And then we'll go further, and I'm going to tell you what exactly I'm going to do with this. And there's some kind of, I don't know if that's a sticker or a plate. I might have to get a light. Let me get a light real quick. Hang on. Just hang on a second. Okay, this other tag in here. So this side of the truck, I think, and that other pump was for heating oil. It says here, this meter approved only for standard heating oil, Stanolex heating oil, and Stanoline heating oil. That's what that says on that tag. It's really hard to see. I'm going to try to take it off, and I may even take it to somebody, see if we can kind of get it restored, because it's really cool. But that's what this tag says. I showed you guys that other tag on the back, and I almost forgot this one. But that's what that says, heating oil. And we're going to talk some about this rig and Standard Oil and some of these oils and so on. We'll do a little bit of info stuff. So we'll see if we can maybe find out some information on Standard Oil and heating oil. Okay, look at that little, and that's actually a metal tag that is screwed on there, but it says vehicle stops at all railroad crossings, in which that's pretty standard. We kind of knew all that. Something else I want to show you about this bumper. This bumper flips up. I think that's so you can get to your hoses, is what that's about. But that's pretty cool. But that's what's going on. I'm getting ready to tear this thing down. As you can see, this had, those are glass. Those 2 are glass. That one's plastic. So I'm going to try to find some more glass ones, and I'll put on this. And I've got some school bus turn signals that have arrows. I think I may put right here, but that's going to be way, way, way later. I got to get this thing all apart first, because I'm actually going to, oh, I don't want to talk about all that now, because we got way more. It's going to be a while before. I mean, I've got big plans for this, and I'm just going to have to get to the fabrication part, and that's the part I love. I love the fabrication work. But that's what we got here, and that's what I'm going to start on, and that's what you guys are going to see. I'm going to see me taking this thing down. All right, here we go. Okay, here we are, Standard Oil. So Standard Oil was really a group of oil companies really controlled by John D. Rockefeller. That is where Rockefeller made his fortune. Standard Oil was actually, the main producer and the main controller of petroleum throughout the world. And in 1911, it was shown that basically they had a monopoly on petroleum, in which they did, in which then it was broken down into several different companies. And then in this instance, this fuel truck was part of Standard Oil Company of Indiana, which Indiana was part of another larger company that absorbed Standard Oil of Nebraska and Standard Oil of Kansas. And so in 1985, Standard Oil of Indiana became Amoco. And a lot of the companies that we know of, oil companies nowadays, Chevron, Gulf, Texaco, Conoco, Phillips, I mean, they were all at one time part of Standard Oil. And like I said, Standard Oil was a major oil producer and controlled petroleum for several years. But that's what I've looked up on Standard Oil, in which I knew the history of Standard Oil, but I just wanted to make sure I got all my facts right. And at one point in time, U.S. Steel even owned a part of Standard Oil, which was actually, it owned Marathon, which was another petroleum company. So really interesting how things kind of, as they change, they all stay the same. Okay, I got a light in one hand. I got this camera in the other. So we're underneath this rig, and this is where I'm going to start. You see the pipes, all those pipes go to each one of the tanks. And I think for now, all the tanks have this flange on them. And I'm going to try to just unbolt them flanges first and see if that works. If not, then I'll start cutting on these pipes. But I may get under here and start cutting these, taking these bolts out and seeing if I can just slide these out. Let me see if I can get you over here. See, there's more of them. And then look at this cap right here. I'm guessing that's so they could empty the tank right there. And then there's another one there. There's another one there, another one there, and another one up there. Let me see. Oh, it's dark. Okay, how's that? There's another up there in the front. So that's what I'm up to. I'm going to be underneath this thing. I think the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take this bumper off of here. I think it's the first thing I'll do. I'll get that bumper off of there. Okay. All right, time to get to work. All right, well, the top part of this other board over here cracked out on me, and instead of trying to drive them out, I got to change the plans. So this is what we're going to do. And I should have thought about that earlier, because that board stops right here. Let's see if we can cut that sucker. Hit me with a hammer. Look at there we go. Well, I tell you what, that old lumber is some dense stuff. All right, we're gonna do the other side. one bumper delete. All right, now let's start working on all that. Okay, so I decided to do the same thing with the ends of these pipes. Let me get you where you can see all that. I already got two of them cut, so they're not cutting bad with this. These are pretty thick. I thought maybe they'd be a little harder to cut, but they're cutting all right. Ooh. That one's got some greasy stuff in it. Ooh, let's see. Let me see if I can get let me get a little screwdriver or something. Hang on. All right, I had a Allen wrench over there. Yeah. Ooh, yeah. Well, let's see. Here. Well, I think it's vintage. Diesel fuel. 1965. Yeah, I think so. Now, I will tell you, I'm not as crazy as Derek. I'm not gonna lick it, but I'll smell on it. And I think that's vintage diesel fuel, 1965. Yep, confirmed. All right, let's get cutting. I have to pick up on that a little bit. Okay. Last one. Yeah, let me get the rest of that cut off. And let's do an analysis on this. Okay. All right, let's get down here. Well, let's stick our little poker in there. We'll do an analysis on that goo. Ooh, whatever that is, that's thick. That's pretty thick. All right, let me get you over here where you can see what's going on. Okay. Well, I'm going to tell you, that's some kind of motor oil mixed with some dirt and dust and gunk. And that, I think, about the same circa, I would say 1965. That's what I'm thinking. I didn't even smell what's in this one. But there we go. This one here and This very first one, it was really dry. These two had some, that had some goo in it, and that's even got a little bit of liquid. Yeah, there's a little water mixed in with that 1965 diesel. This one, not sure. This one's some thick, gooey stuff. A lot of dirt. But I think that was motor oil, I'm guessing. Let's see, that would be tank number. Like that. These are marked. That would be tank number 2. So that was a 100-gallon tank, so that may be right. Maybe that was motor oil. Well, it was thick. Ooh, baby. Yeah, and it had some goo in it. Okay, so there we go. We got at least that part done. Let me get cleaned up from this and then we'll continue. All right, newsflash. So, I found out some more information on this. I see this plate right here. I'm like, what does that plate say? And let me see if I can get you guys in there. So what that says, if you guys can't see it, it says property of Standard Oil Company, IND, which would be Industries, tank number 44332. Ding, 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 ding. Newsflash. Upon investigation, look over here. 44332. So that 44332 on here, that is the tank number. That is the same number right here. 44332. So aha. So if there's any of you old school guys that understands what they're doing over here, I'm not sure what these measurements are. And I'm pretty sure that says outage. O-U-T-A-G-E. I think that's what that says. 4 7/16, 5 5/8, 5 3/8, 5 1/16, and 4 3/16. I don't know if maybe every 4 3/16 is a gallon. No, surely not. I'm not sure. But if any of you guys know, put it in the comments. Like Derek says, bleep bloop it down there or bop it down there, whatever. But that's what this is. So this says property of Standard Oil Company, tank number 44332, which is the same number right there. And I think that's the same number that's on the side of the tank inside that box. So yeah, very cool. I got to save that. But I will tell you, well, yeah, I need to go ahead and tell you. I'm going to be cutting this right here, because of what I'm going to do to this tank. So I'll cut this off of here and we'll put it somewhere else. I may tack it on this door right here. I may tack it on this door, or maybe right above here, maybe up there where I'm not going to cut it. But yeah, that's what that is. Property of Standard Oil Company, IND, tank number 44332, which is the same number we've got right here. Yeah. So please, anybody that knows anything about all this, put it in the comments. Okay, let's get to cutting some more on this. Okay, I wanted to take a second and talk about this because it just reminded me of something. So this spot right here where they would haul a drum, it had probably a good, I'd say 8 inches of dirt and leaves in there. And when I cleaned that out outside, I just happened to real easily stumble upon this. And I thought, well, hell, this probably was a standard truck. So that makes sense that with that ID tag back here that we found, right there, property or Standard Oil, this was a Standard Oil truck. Because like I said, I found this little plastic ruler in there. And it's held up forever. Like I said, it was sitting inside that area right there where that drum was. I was just cleaning dirt out of there and just stumbled upon it. So pretty cool. Okay, I got you under here so you guys can get the same view that I got. I was trying to take this flange off first, but there's really no point, and it's really kind of easier for me to get to them up there than it is to get some of those ones there on the back. So let's see what kind of deal we got going on here. I have to use the opened end on this top side because the other end will not fit. And we'll take the impact here and zip her off. That's what we're doing. Did you guys get that sun in your face too? We got it. And there's a little screen on there. Okay, all right, that's what we're up to. I got 3 more. All right, I got some help from Donnie over here. We got this side all off. We didn't film any of that. That was just practice. That way when we film this other side over here, it looks like we know what we're doing. We had to figure it out over here on this side. We don't want to make it look like we know what we're doing, right?
It's an experience.
Yep. So we got practice on that side. Now we're going to do it for real over here on this other side. Okay, so the GoPro died, but I got that brace on this side. We got the side boxes off. We got those panels off of the back. And I think we're just about ready to lift this thing off. Here's all the stuff that came off the back. That's a side panel off of the back here on the driver's side. That's a bunch of stuff out inside of there. Here's a look at the back of this thing. Now I put that piece of tubing on there because these straps, this one's totally broken off. These straps in between these tanks are pretty rotten, and the only thing really holding it together is all that top. And it looks like that top is bolted through those ribs and not the tanks themselves. So these cradle supports, they're still in good shape underneath. The bands underneath are pretty rotten. I'm gonna have to redo them. But I've got this together right here. We're going to lift this up and then pull the truck out from under it. That's how we're going to do this. But that's what we're up to. I know I didn't get a lot of filming, but I had Donnie out here helping me, and I didn't want to do a ton of filming while he was helping me. We did, I mean, we filmed some while he was helping me, but we did this entire side, and then I put you guys on time lapse and did this side over here. Okay, I gotta go see if the smoker's ready to see if I can put the meat on for supper. And then when I get out here and I'm gonna cut the rest of that stuff, and this thing should be ready to come loose from this. All right, I'll see you then. All right, all I got left is this back U-bolt right here, holding this thing on here. And I'm getting here plastic cover. Lose the use. Takes care of that. I'll bring you back. Get ready to lift this thing up. Okay. Did it hit this stand?
Yeah, I think it jumped on the side of it.
Still on there good?
There. Now, we got to jack that up.
Is that big bar behind? Is that side still on?
It's still good there. It's good to clear.
Put something under it. We're gonna pull it down.
Yeah, and the tire.
Oh, that's all I got.
Well, here we put something in there.
All right, here we go again.
Yeah.
Ready?
Yep.
Fall off.
Huh?
We can stick one of them bars over there.
Well, I'm gonna see if it'll hold.
All right, go ahead.
Okay, move it a little bit. Okay. Oh shit.
What?
It was riding on the cross member on that other beam and then dropped down and then.
Oh, what?
Yeah.
Off of it?
Yeah. Let me go back there and look.
Alright.
Yeah, it dropped down on the kick. Right at the end when it fell off the back of it. Okay, we're clear now.
We're clear?
Yeah. It was riding on top of that cross.
Oh, that cross member right
Then
there.
it dropped down and bounced.
Okay.
We're good off of it now. Okay, okay. How far? Damn, going the wrong direction. Oh,
Good?
yeah.
Okay, before I end this, I'll do one more walk around. So there's our tank. We got it on sawhorses, and man, I got a mess I got to clean up. It's probably going to be a little bit before I clean it up. Let me get you a shot of down here. I'm going to have to do something about this. Let me take you in here. That's why I took and put this piece of square tubing on there to kind of secure this thing up, because some of these bands are broke. And then there is the side, the back again. But we've got it up on sawhorses. Let me get on a ladder and I'll take you guys up there on the top. But we've got it on a stand. I just want to do a real quick walk around on it before I end this one. Let me get on the ladder. Okay, as you can see, there's the caps of how they would have filled each individual tank all the way down through there. Now this piece up on top is kind of holding this together. I am going to go ahead and take that apart so I can take these tanks apart and do the work I need to do to them. But yeah, as you can see, this is welded right here. And that's a band that goes all the way across there. And then it's also screwed to those other bands down through there. I'm not quite sure what that ball, there's a ball right there. I'm not quite sure what that's for. Huh. Must have had something stuck on there. But there it is. I'm going to start working on tearing this thing apart. All right, I think I'll probably close this one out. All right, there it is. We got it secure on sawhorses now. And you guys are actually sitting on the truck. So that's the end of this one. Hope you guys enjoyed that. There wasn't a lot to it. Just us taking this tank off, talking a little bit about it, and talking a little bit about Standard Oil. So if you can, please like, share, and subscribe. And we'll see you on the next one, which will probably be some more on this. Maybe the engine of the rat rod, but we're going to continue working on the rat rod for a while. But if you can, please like, share, and subscribe, and thank you all for watching.